Hi, and welcome to this yoga class. My name is Candy Block. I will be leading you through this practice. Today's class is all about our hips. So, I created this class because one of my students actually asked me, she's like, can you just create a class where we only focus on our hips? And it's a request that we get a lot as yoga teachers if you've attended classes. And in the beginning, oftentimes teachers will ask, what do you want to work on today? And like hips, 9 times out of 10, are what individuals ask for. And part of that is just because we have a lot of mobility in our hips, but then that can cause a lot of tightness, especially if we're sitting for long periods of time. Even if we've done like a lot of activity, it's kind of easy to strain different muscles that surround the hips. And so stretching them always feels good. However, sometimes it can feel a little bit painful as well because we kind of have four major areas. So that's what we're going to focus on today. We're going to focus on the tops of the hips, so the hip flexors. We're going to get into the outer hips, kind of coming around the glutes, and then also the back of the legs, so our hamstrings. We don't often think about them as being part of all of the muscles tied into the hips, but if we have tight hamstrings, that can affect everything else surrounding it. And then also the inner thighs going into the groin. So we're going to get into all four of those major areas today in this class. There might be some areas that just feel really good for you to open up, and then others that might feel really tight and intense. So we're really going to focus on the breath during this class as well. So to get started, let's meet in down dog. Take your time getting there. Really set yourself up. And just take a moment to arrive. So maybe even pedaling out the feet. I like to really shift my hips sometimes, like really bending deep through one knee, shifting my hips over to the side, and then bending through the other knee, shifting the hips in the other direction. Feel the hands pressing into the earth, shoulders down the back, away from the ears. And then maybe even place a deep bend in the knees, feeling the hips shooting up toward like the back corner of the room, and then straightening back down through the legs. We'll inhale up to the balls of the feet, and as you exhale, slowly step or hop to the top of your mat, coming into your forward fold. So we're going to hold this forward fold. Maybe heel toe your feet about hip distance apart. You can place a deep bend in the knees. Grab opposite elbows, just let the torso hang heavy here. You can play with straightening the legs, bending the knees a little bit more. We're really opening up the hamstrings here. So that's the first area that we're going to hit today. Maybe even notice how you feel the stretch all the way up into the glutes. Maybe even a little bit of a release in the low back. We'll drop our hands back down to the mat. Inhale, wave the spine up, half lift. And then exhale, bend the knees deeply, waving the spine up, vertebrae by vertebrae, coming all the way to stand. Inhale, sweep the arms up, around, overhead. And then exhale, hinge at your hips, fold over your legs. Inhale, wave the spine up. And then exhale, plant your hands, stepping back to plank, top of a push-up. Rock forward on your tiptoes, option to use your knees, lower all the way down to the mat. Untuck your toes and inhale up, baby cobra or upward facing dog. And then exhale back, downward facing dog. Take a big inhale, really filling the lungs completely. And exhale, let it go. We'll inhale, lift the right leg up and back, three-legged down dog. And then as you exhale, quietly step the foot between the hands. Lower the back knee, untuck the back toe, and inhale the arms up for your low crescent lunge. Now take a moment bringing your hands down. You may even want to place the hands on the hips and then come out of this stretch a little bit. So bringing the weight more over the left back leg, and then tuck the tailbone so we really feel the stretch in the hip flexor. Now we're moving to the front of the leg. If there's space with the tailbone tucked, we can bring the arms back up and then sink a little bit deeper. This way, we're really bringing the stretch to the front of the hips, and we're also protecting the low back. Breathe here. Slowly lower the hands back down to the mat. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, and step back, downward facing dog. We'll take that on the other side as well. Inhale the left leg up, three-legged down dog. Exhale, quietly step the foot between the hands. Lower the back knee, untuck the back toes, and inhale the arms up, low crescent lunge. Lower the hands back down to the hips. Come out of this a little bit, shifting the weight to the back right leg. Tuck the tailbone under. So really feel this difference when we're sticking our butt out versus when we have a slight tuck of the tailbone. Even here, I can feel this stretch in my quad and in the hip flexor. And then I'm going to sink a little bit deeper, bringing the arms back up overhead. We'll lower the hands back down to the mat. This time just stepping the left foot back to all fours. We're going to come into frog pose. So you can stay for it if you have enough space wide by your mat, or you might need to turn to the side. But we're going to slide the knees out. And then we want our shins coming straight back from the knees. You can flex the feet or you can point them, whichever one feels better for you. And then from here, we might come down onto the elbows, maybe coming all the way down onto the mat if that feels good. And then breathe here. So now we're getting into our inner hips, feeling this stretch from the inner knee all the way up to the groin. Breathing deeply. See if you can use the exhale to really settle into this posture. You can even play with shifting the hips back and forth. That's going to change the sensation. Two more breaths here. And then we'll slowly come back up onto the hands, bringing the knees back underneath of us, coming to all fours. Tuck the toes and make your way back to downward facing dog. This time we'll inhale the right leg up and back, three-legged down dog. And as you exhale, quietly step the foot between the hands. We'll inhale the arms up, high crescent lunge. Exhale to settle into the posture. Again, we're likely feeling this in the front of the hip flexor if we're high on the ball of the back foot. One more big inhale. Exhale, open it up, warrior two, sinking the hips deeper. When our knee is right over our ankle and right over or going towards the middle toes, we might feel this in the hips as well. Straighten through the front leg, coming into triangle pose. Reaching the arm, right arm forward as much as we can, and then dropping the arms down. Hand can come onto the shin or the block. Gaze up towards the top hand. This is always a nice stretch for me, right on the inside of my right leg. You might even feel it in the outer hip as well, up here on the left side. Breathe into that. Inhale, we're going to reverse our triangle pose, lifting the right arm up, lifting the right hip bone. And then exhale, windmill the arms back down to the mat, frame the front foot, and step back, downward facing dog. Take a big inhale, filling the lungs completely. And exhale, let it go. Inhale the left leg up and back, three-legged down dog. And as you exhale, quietly step the foot between the hands, setting yourself up. Inhale, high crescent lunge. Exhale to settle in. Again, feeling this back in the front of the hip flexor. We have that slight tuck of the tailbone, high on the ball of the back foot. Take one more inhale. Exhale, open it up, warrior two. Adjust the feet if you need to. Again, really opening through the hips here. So feeling the knee tracking right over the middle toes. Keeping the arms up. Soften the shoulders. Then coming into triangle, straightening through the front leg. We're cutting the left hip back underneath of the right, reaching the arms forward. I'm already feeling this stretch on the inside of my left leg. And then just dropping the hands. The bottom hand can rest on your shin. Gaze up towards the top hand. Again, I always feel this pretty deeply on the inside of my thigh, on the front leg. And then you might also feel it here in the outer hip coming into the obliques. Keeping the legs engaged and the core. We're going to inhale, reverse our triangle, really pressing the hips forward, lifting the left hip up. And then exhale, windmill the hands down, framing the front foot, stepping back to down dog. Going through your flow. Inhale, rippling the spine forward to plank. Rock forward on your tiptoes and lower all the way or halfway chaturanga. Inhale, up dog or baby cobra. And then exhale back, downward facing dog. We're going to come down onto our knees and then take a seat. We're going to come into fire log pose. So I will admit, this one is probably my least favorite, but it's also because it's the one that I need to do the most. This is really going to get into those outer hips. So we're going to start with our left leg on the bottom. So it's almost like we're coming into just a cross leg position or an easy seat, but we're stacking the legs. So we want our left foot flexed. This is going to protect the knee. And then flexing our right foot, we're going to stack the ankle right on top of the knee. And then see if we can drop the right knee down. You may even need to lift yourself up, really get seated on your sit bones, and then breathe here. So again, this is a pretty intense stretch for me. I will admit, my knee doesn't always come all the way down to my ankle. So I like to slide a block in here. You can slide a pillow, a blanket, a towel, whatever you have. The important thing is that we're keeping our feet flexed. That's keeping our knees safe and trying our best to relax into this posture. We're going to hold here for a full minute. You can stay upright, just trying to keep a nice long spine. If you are like, Candy, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't feel anything yet. That's amazing. Great for you. You'll inhale with a nice long spine and then fold over the legs. As you fold, you might start to feel more of a sensation there. For me, I feel enough sitting up nice and tall, so that's where I'm going to stay. We're going to breathe here for just another 30 seconds. For me, it takes a few big inhales, nice big exhales to really start to relax all of the muscles around the hips and allow myself to sink in here. We'll slowly come out of this, lifting the top knee uncrossing the legs, removing any props. And then I like to take kind of a windshield wiper motion with my hips. And then we'll come into that on the other side. So this time we're leaving our right leg on the bottom. Again, flexing through the foot. We're really trying to get the shins parallel to the front of our mat. So think about that as well. Flex through the left foot, stacking it right on top of the knee. So ankle to knee. And then again, trying to drop the knee on top of the other ankle. Maybe even lifting yourself up, letting your sit bones sink back into the earth. And then if you have this gap here between the foot and the knee, you can slide a block underneath, a blanket, towel, pillow. And then try to sit up nice and tall, coming back to your breath. Using that to really settle in. If this feels great in your body and you want to fold forward, you absolutely can. I'm going to stay sitting up nice and tall here. Breathing for another 30 seconds. I think it's very rare that any of us are just completely open in our hips where none of these stretches really feel super intense. So just notice if there's maybe one that's more intense than the other. If all of them were intense, you are also not alone in that at all. Just breathe through it. We'll slowly come out of this stretch, lifting the leg, moving nice and slow because, again, these are pretty intense hip openers. And then again, maybe windshield wiper the legs. And then we'll slowly make our way to our backs. Slowly rolling down, placing each vertebrae on the mat, and then hugging the knees in towards the chest. From here, we'll extend the legs long on the mat, finding our final resting posture, Shavasana. Maybe even kind of shaking the legs a little bit, really settling the hip muscles, letting go of any tension there. We'll close the eyes, take a big breath in through the nose, and then exhale, let everything go. Release any tension, even in the face and the jaw, for Shavasana. Slowly bring some movement back into the hands and the feet. On your next inhale, reach your arms up overhead like it's that first stretch of the day. And then exhale, make your way onto your side, coming into a fetal position and pausing here for a moment. Take one more big inhale. Exhale, make your way up to your seated position. Finding your easy seat this time. Probably feels a little better than fire log. We'll bring our hands to heart center, palms to touch, thumbs against the sternum. The light in me honors and acknowledges the light in each of you. Namaste.